The Gators come in 4-1. The Tigers with some life after rolling past Mizzou at home last week, 42-7. The Gators lethargic, sloppy in that noon game at Nashville. Got it done against Vandy, but just barely at 13-6. Your initial thoughts about the Gators and the Tigers?
Well, it's going to be interesting. Still not sure we know whether or not Leonard Fournette's going to play. The other thing about this game is we have to look at how the weather is going to affect it. Probably going to have heavy rains hit Florida, right close to Jacksonville in the Gainesville area with the Hurricane Matthew, I believe, coming up the coast. So you look at that, and you got to think that helps LSU, probably more of a ground team. Florida, I think, probably is going to rely more on the quarterback. Not sure if Luke Del Rio is going to play, come back in this game or not. LSU's look good last week. A very popular pick to be upset last week with a Missouri team riding high coming in. Brand new coach after the Les Miles fiasco. Ed Orgeron takes over. They kind of change up their offense, and they come out and they look really good. They look much improved from the previous week, and their offense was able to move the ball and score against Missouri, who still has a fairly strong defense. But everybody was kind of thinking Missouri might have a chance to capitalize on some drama in Baton Rouge, and that was not the case. LSU came out and took care of business. So you look at that. Can they continue on that momentum? Florida, coming off that loss to Tennessee, and then last week in Nashville, just was not able to move the ball very much at all. And so I think if you go back the last 6 quarters, they have not looked good. And if you go back the last 6 games going back to last year, their offense has had some problems. There's starting to be some conversation in Gainesville about, is this working, or is it a kind of a sophomore slump for the Alabama offense? There's starting to be some tough conversations in Gainesville. So I think this is a much more important game for Jim McElwain and the Gators than it is for the LSU Tigers. LSU's kind of playing with house money. They got a brand new coach who's in on interim status. So you know what's the worst that could happen? The worst that could happen is they play like people think they're going to play, which is a team that has an interim coach that just fired their head coach. So I think they're playing with house money. I think they're a loose group. I think the offensive coordinator is kind of free. He can call what he wants. Not a lot of pressure there. I think LSU comes out. I think the weather helps LSU. I think their offensive coordinator I think their offense continues to get better. I look for LSU to make a statement here that they're back nationally on the scene. I think LSU comes out of Gainesville with a win.
Mike, when you check out the stat line for LSU against Mizzou and a first game that was called by Steve Emsinger in relief of Cam Cameron, of course, who was dismissed, it's not just the gaudy statistics, it's that it's the LSU blueprint for a win. So 634 total yards of offense, that's an SEC record for an LSU team against a conference opponent. 82 plays, 52 of those runs, 30 passes. 8 yards per carry without Leonard Fournette, 42 minutes of time possession to 18 for Missouri, no turnovers, 6 for 11 on third downs. That's a scripted LSU offensive performance. What stands out to me about Florida is Jordan Scarlett appears to be the best running back. A lot of Gator insiders, including our own David Waters, are clamoring for Scarlett to get the ball more consistently. 12 carries last week, 10 against Tennessee. He's getting about 35 to 40% of the carries out of the running backs. So they're relieving him quite a bit. And the one productive series that they had in scoring a touchdown and marching on a long field for a touchdown against Vandy, he got most of the carries. And then we didn't see him for like 25 minutes in that game. The offensive line has been porous, giving up sacks even to 3- and 4-man fronts, and even not being able to run the ball consistently against defenses that aren't even loading the box. So it's been a bit of a strain in trying to produce offense for Florida, and it's going to be difficult, you would think. In this one, defensively for the Gators, they do what we expect them to from a production standpoint. They are one of the best. One of the concerns from the Vandy game would be that Ralph Webb and the Vandy rushing game did gain some yardage and was able to move the ball and keep the ball away from Florida's offense with about 150 yards rushing in that game. So, Mike, as we go along with these games, if you want to throw out a pick, that's totally up to you. But I'm going to save those for later. So, Mark Rogers TV, I've got my picks coming later this week.